Welcome, everybody, and glad you're joining us. And I'm talking today to Malcolm Moodley from IT Works, and it's part of the series of talking to other entrepreneurs about different aspects of entrepreneurship. And specifically today, I'm going to talk to Malcolm about how he successfully, whenever he finds an obstacle or something standing in his way in his business, that he leverages the resources for people and the networks around him to move forward and go past that. Because I've seen that so many times, Malcolm, when I sit with young people and young entrepreneurs or new entrepreneurs, that as soon as they hit difficulty, it closes down and then they say, I can't go forward. So we're going to specifically address that today. And yeah, if you want to do a quick introduction about yourself, I'd appreciate that.
Well, I started my entrepreneurship journey in 2004. I walked out of my job. I gave my boss 24-hour notice, and I've never looked back. Well, I've regretted some of it. It's not an easy journey, and 90% of the time you're alone.
Yes.
But with the skills, you've got to keep upgrading your skills. You've got to keep upgrading your knowledge. You're never going to be at a level where I know everything. Everything changes. Times change. Like with COVID, everything's changed. What did you do to make this shift? What did you do to pivot? What did you do to create more income?
Okay.
So that was the thing. And for me, COVID was absolutely brilliant because I went through some serious depression. I made more money in the first 3 months of lockdown than I did in the 6 months before that. Yeah. So I was like, yes, we can do this. And yes. I had to completely change the direction of my business. So okay. I've got three businesses, okay. But the IT is the biggest one. And during COVID, we couldn't work with people in the other two. But yes. We've now started doing that.
Okay, good. The other two businesses are?
VUCA Africa and Balanced Thinking. Okay. So VUCA Africa, we do business development, we do personal development, we do coaching, we do firewalking and all the fun stuff. We help people take their lives to the next level. We help them take the business to the next level. And being a firewalker instructor yourself, you know how fun that is. And fun. The other one is energy healing. Okay. And everything is energy. Money is energy. Money is light. Absolutely. So if you want money, you need to have the light and you need to have the energy to be able to bring that forward. Yeah. But to be able to do that, you need to know what you want. And if you don't know what you want, waiting for funding is never going to help.
That's interesting. I spoke about this at length once. If you listen to the language of people, they know more about what they don't want than what they do want.
Absolutely.
And then they complain that they get more of what they don't want. But that's the only thing that you keep talking about and focusing on, and not really focusing on what is it I want to learn and have and create for my own life, because you create your own life at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Everything that you have around you is what you brought into your space. Yeah. And you brought it there for a reason, either to help you go to the next level or to help you change. Yes. And it's interesting that you say that what you don't want, because whatever you focus on, you bring in. And Tony Robbins deals a lot with this with one of his, and the reason I'm fascinated with it is because he went for a kind of advanced driving course for the Porsche GT. And that car is an absolute animal. Jay Leno also did the same. But what happened was the instructor told him, look where you want to go. Don't look at the wall. And every time the car went out of control, he looked at the wall and he almost hit the wall. Okay. So wherever you focus is where you go.
Yes. So our paths crossed a few years ago, and I introduced the concept to you of how do you leverage the resources that you have around you. And it mainly focuses on asking 4 questions. Who are you? What do you have? What do you know? And who do you know? And you've leveraged that with quite success within your IT business, your business in general. Can you tell us more about that, of how that level of thinking, a thinking of possibility, changed your business and how it's affecting your business today?
Okay, where to start? The 4 questions that you did ask, I mean, I love the process because it works and it's simple, but not everyone thinks about it. And it's who are you, what do you have, whom do you know, and what resources are available to you. In terms of who am I, is firstly what drives you, what gets you up in the morning. If you're in business just to make money, then what happens when you make money?
Yes.
And how much of money is enough?
Yeah.
So is your target 1 million, 2 million, 10 million, 20 million? What happens when you get there?
Yeah.
So what
Get clear
drives you?
about it. No, don't just chase something that's infinite, because it'll infinitely take up your time and infinitely just destroy you.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you get into a car and you don't know where you're going, how long are you going to drive for?
That's true. That's a good way of putting it. Thank you for that.
So you have to know your target. You have to know what you want. If you
Okay.
don't know what you want, anything will do. Or
Yes.
if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there.
Yeah, it will.
That's why do you do what you do? Are you helping people? Are you trying to change the world? Are you trying to change your circumstances? And then once you reach that point, what's the next step of the journey?
Okay.
And how do you? So who am I means exactly that. What do I want?
Okay. Good.
What do I know? That would be everything in terms of your education, your life experience, your understanding, your belief systems. And we deal a lot with belief systems.
Yeah, we
So
do.
once you understand that, you can use that, you can actually leverage that to help you grow and to grow your business.
Yeah, because we have a lot of personal experiences and knowledge that
Oh,
we don't
absolutely.
leverage. And I always tell people, and I think you've heard me say this before, if you're a parent who has two teenagers in the house at the same time, you are a world expert on conflict resolution. But we don't think that what I use and experience in my personal life, I can use this in a business life. And you can. Everything is transferable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it, and I spoke to a friend of mine a couple of days ago. And my experience and my education and my knowledge is so vast. It ranges from everything from advanced driving to ancient history to welding, woodwork, carpentry, tiling, construction, um,
Telecoms.
telecoms, coaching,
Mm.
firewalking, energy healing. I've got such a vast range of knowledge. It's just seeing the opportunities to
Mm.
bring them in together and to change the system.
Oh, that's true. That's so right. Okay, cool. What's next?
Who do I know?
Yeah.
Um, I heard a very nice story by John DeMartini the other day, and I've listened to it about 5 times or 6 times over the past few
Okay.
days. And he talks about a lady that he knew that didn't have a lot of money, but she was a socialite, and every time he saw her, she was in the one dress, and she only wore that dress to all the events. And he asked her, why do you do that? You have such wealth around you. Why aren't you tapping into that? And she says, I don't know. What do you mean? She says, well, CEOs, bank managers, world leaders, and they don't know each other. Why aren't you introducing them to each other? And whatever business they do together, you get a percentage. And she said, do you think they'll mind? He said, absolutely not.
If
And
you
they
don't
started a
ask,
company
you
called
will
The
never know.
Liaison.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I've actually done that. And my brother is a salesman, and he's absolutely brilliant at this.
Yeah.
Whenever he goes into a meeting, he takes a contract with him so that two people that don't know each other from a bar of soap, he introduces them to each other. And if there is any chance of them having to do business together, they make an agreement and sign a deal that should any money change hands between the two of them, he gets a percentage of that.
I like that. I spoke at a Secretary's Day conference once, and it was about 250 personal assistants day. I said, think of the change that you want in the world, and think of the people whose lives you run, who you have access to, and how can you
Oh, yes.
leverage what they have to bring that change that you want in the world about. And you could feel the energy in that room, 250 ladies and one guy, go, wow, I never thought about that. And that light bulb moment, and it's truly, but we live in networks. We're a social environment. Even with COVID, we're still social. We're still
Absolutely.
doing that, and you can play that role, and that's fine. And lastly, I think it's about, we didn't cover what you have.
Oh, well, what you have being the resources that you have in terms
Mm,
of the offices, the phones,
mm,
the computers, your data package, your internet access, your car. You drop your zeros, your Virgin Actives, you have networks everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just once you can see, and I think the thing that most younger entrepreneurs go wrong with is what can they do for me?
Oh, now you're touching an interesting point. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so I'm part of a worldwide network called the Freemasons.
Yes.
And they originally started out as a group to make good men better.
Okay.
So they take in good men and they make them better, and they make them pillars of the community and
Okay.
and in the business community as well.
Yes.
And what I'm beginning to see now, especially in South Africa, they know about the networks, they know what it's all about, and all they want to do is become a part of this network so that they can use other people to give them what they want.
Okay, so what are you alluding to? It's reciprocity. There needs to be fair exchange. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I mean that the reason for joining is to be better and to serve the foundation, to serve the community, to serve
okay.
the
So
business world.
it's about getting, not giving.
Exactly.
Okay.
Reason for
Okay.
joining should be about
I've
giving.
seen that. I've seen that across the board with entrepreneurs that I work with, and it's sad that, and you know what, I'm going to admit, when I started my first business, I was also, how can this customer serve me? And that was some of my biggest failures. And it has
What
to
did you learn
start
from that?
with humility, and it's difficult to get that humility. So I like to ask people when I coach them, can you say the following words? I serve my customer. And some people struggle. I remember this one lady, I sat with her, and she's very successful and great. And I said, say the sentence. And it went like, I and so my customer. That's how it sounded. I go like, what was that middle word? It was as if you took a sound clip from a man's voice, turned down the volume, and you put that serve in there. And I said, you can't say that. And the pride and hubris in that withheld her from really achieving the success that they truly want, because it ties in with what DeMartini says is it's fair exchange. You can't receive if you can't give, and you have to give.
What I like is the Jim Rohn quote is, to the extent that you give people what they want, they will give you what you want.
That's
so
it.
You have to serve first. And Les Brown has this amazing quote from the Bible.
Yeah.
It's it slipped my mind now.
That's good.
And the greatest amongst you shall be your servant.
Yes.
Because if you think about it, everyone that serves you, from your waiters to your maids, to your gardeners, to your drivers, they know more about you and what you do because you hide nothing from them.
That's true.
They can take you they can take you down with all the shit that they know.
Okay.
And that's why you treat them with respect. And that's why I think it was Robin Sharma that said, I treat CEOs the same way I treat the janitor. Because they can take you down, but they are there to serve you.
Down is not necessarily, I think, in the sense of the word, like what I mean, what I see when you mean down, it's not necessarily take you down and ruin you financially, although all of that is a possibility.
It's possible.
But I see it as it brings you down a level from
Humility.
your ego, humility.
Yes.
And I think you and I have shared that meal many times called humble pie, where you had one or two slices of the worst tasting humble pie, but it's what's needed.
Absolutely.
And they can take you down that notch to go like, you're not as great as you think. You're not as good as you think. And I actually just sat in a session now with a CEO, and he said, well, I'm afraid that this massive deal will come through before that, because then I might be cocky, because then I don't need this. But if that deal doesn't go through, they will need this. Do you see the possibilities of emotion that can run through? And it's nice to have that check in there. Great. So, but getting back to the 4 questions, you're still leveraging that on a daily basis within your business, yes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So the way I do it is I do know a lot of people, and I never realized it until I did the entrepreneurship, that I can serve them. And while I'm serving them, I can let them know what I need. And when they happen to run across it, they, okay, cool, Malcolm needs this, Malcolm knows this, Malcolm wants this. I can put him in touch with so-and-so. And I've done that successfully with many businesses and many of my close friends.
Yeah, that reminds me of something that my father always taught me. A lot of people don't want to talk about their business because somebody's going to steal my idea. And he said you're trying to market like standing in a dark room and waving at somebody. It's not going to work. And if you don't talk to people, share with them, this is me, this is where I want to go to, nobody will know what to give you. So you need to consistently communicate. Is that also you? So communication, and apart from knowing what I want, but also communicating that to other people is important.
Absolutely. Communication is key. Because if you don't know how to ask for what you want,
yes,
how would they know what you want?
So
you may know what you want, but they will never know what you want. And like you said, it's like winking at a chick in the dark. She doesn't know you're doing it, but you know you're doing it.
Have you ever been afraid to ask?
Oh, hell yes.
And how did
Not
you
recently,
overcome
though. Not recently, but yes. How did I overcome that? I've realized that I'm worthy enough. If I need something, I want it, and if I don't have it, if I can't get it on my own, I will have to ask for help. And if you don't ask for help, you'll never be able to do it. So you have to leverage everything that you have, the resources, the skills, the knowledge. Because having, and I tell this to a lot of people that I deal with, is I could give you an entire library to go and read, and you can have all the knowledge. But if you don't apply it, is it worth it?
Burn that library. You didn't know it at all. Okay. But you said something interesting there, help. The H word. It's a difficult thing sometimes to ask for help.
If you have a lot of pride.
Okay. And that comes back to what's in it for me, because that's a pride energy.
Yep.
Okay.
So if I'm here to serve you, my client, and I know that you, as DeMartini says, you put somebody on a pedestal or you put somebody in a pit.
Yes.
But if you put them in your heart, you're at the same level.
Yeah. And if I put you in a pedestal, I put myself in a pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
so then you're already lowering yourself, and you're afraid to ask because now they're better than you. But if you put yourself on a pedestal and put them in a pit, you won't ask because it's beneath you.
And you won't have respect for the request that they have. Although it might unlock massive business opportunities for you, you discard it because it's beneath you. No pun intended.
Absolutely.
Okay. No, that's very important. I've done that exercise where I sat with speakers because I want to speak at Davos one day, where I look at 3 Davos speakers every day, and I see within me what I see within them. And that's humbling, because then you can connect with them on a human level, not a judgment level or a negative level. That works. I do the same when I go and speak to CEOs. I see the success that I see within them. I see the success within me, because then I can connect with them more easily. Okay, cool. Any closing advice you want to add?
Oh, yeah, I've got a ton load.
I know you can.
The main one,
yes,
is how many of your young entrepreneurs and even your older ones have been depressed, have been through a depression during the past few months, during the past few years, during their journey as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And I've been there as well. I mean, just about 2 weeks ago, I came out of a serious depression. But I've begun to realize, and using all the training, using the NLP techniques, using all the coaching that I've learned, using part of the entrepreneurship, is the depression comes about because our life is not exactly where we wanted it to be at this point.
Yes.
So we start beating ourselves up about it.
Because but we compare. This is where I believe I should be, and this is where I am.
Where I am.
And that's tough.
It's not that I've done everything to be there. Because had you done everything in your power, you would be there. So clearly you haven't. So you beat yourself up, and then you get into a depression, and it's a vicious spiral downward.
Yeah.
But what I've done is, and this is where the belief systems come in, is I've changed that to, I catch myself being depressed. And that's why I still wear this every single day. Is being in control of your thoughts. As soon as your mind starts to wander, you know it's wandering, and you snap yourself back to here and now. And that's being present.
Yeah.
But using that depression to understand that because it's not where I want to be, I need to start now shifting to another gear.
Yeah. It's a blessing.
Change down or change up. Exactly. It's a massive
because
blessing.
It gives you a chance to reflect. Okay. It is not the same. What's the reason? What are the steps that I can take? What are the actions that I can take today? And how do I get there? So it can be positive, but it is difficult to navigate out of that.
It is difficult until you realize that you are in control of what you think.
You create your thoughts.
You create your thoughts. And this helps me, just snaps it back into the moment and like, okay, why are you thinking this? So now work it backwards, and then make a conscious decision to do something towards the next one. And Tony Robbins says this.
Yeah. Tony Robbins says, apologies.
So he says, never leave the site of a decision without taking some form of action.
That's some good advice. Some good advice. There's a book I read a few months ago called The Power of TED. And TED stands an abbreviation for the empowerment dynamic. And what I like about it is, I don't know if you're familiar with the drama triangle of the persecutor, the victim, and the savior. But what he goes here, it's the coach, the challenger, and the creator. So with every thought that you have, ask yourself, am I creating the future that I want? Am I actively creating, or am I in the drama triangle where I play the victim? So either you're a creator or a victim. That's what I like about the power of that book. And I'll add a link in the description below, but it's a short book. It's like 75 pages, I think. But it makes that, he uses the term decision point. And what is the decision point there? What's creating that? Okay. Now, I like that. Depression is tough, and we're all going to face it. And if you can't handle it, I want anybody listening to this, reach out to somebody. If it becomes too much, and it can, reach out to
me.
Reach out to Malcolm. Talk to somebody. Talk to a coach. Talk to a friend. Reach out to organizations, because I've worked in places where one day you get there, and the one entrepreneur you worked with last week is not there anymore, and it just got too much. So don't keep it for yourself.
Cool. On that note, this is absolutely vital for every single young entrepreneur.
Why do you say that?
A little notebook. Okay. Doesn't even have to be your daily journal. Something like this.
Okay. What do you do with it?
In your pocket. You make notes.
You
make notes. I've made notes here on the power of TED, on all the other interviews that you've done, because your memory, when you're busy, when you're busy on your business, you have ideas, and you never write them down, because you think, I'll remember it later, and I'll remember it later, and I'll go back. And then you get busy with something else and something else.
Your mind is not a good whiteboard to put post-its on. No, it's a process.
Absolutely.
And do you reflect on it at night or once a week?
Not every night, but about once or twice a week.
Okay.
So I go through it and I make little notes. I schedule them into my calendar to make time for that.
Okay, that's clever.
So even when I'm driving, I have this on my dashboard with a pencil. That pencils are absolutely amazing. Yeah. So I make little notes. When I have little ideas, I have little thoughts, I make a note, and then I come back to the office. And when I take my break time, I schedule that into my calendar.
Okay, cool. Malcolm, I want to thank you for your time, and it was great talking to you. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me over.
Absolutely,
virtually.
Man. I'll chat with you again sometime.
Cool. Good luck to everyone.